Moonknight is a very interesting situation. He was a pretty low-key character for years, with many people not really knowing much about him unless you read comics, but due to the Disney Plus show, there has been larger and larger emphasis put on the character of Moonknight. I didn't really know much about Moonknight until a close friend of mine in high school told me about him, and Moonknight was his favorite character. After that, I looked into him a little bit more, bought some comic books, and still wasn't that interested in him that much. It wasn't until I heard the Moonknight show was coming out for Disney Plus that I was like, you know what, Moonknight deserves a chance, so let me go pick up a few comics. And when I did, I fell in love with Moonknight because this character is one of the most interesting characters I feel like Marvel has in their library. I just love street level heroes because they all feel so close to being real and like me. They have the ability to do great things even though they have these tough experiences and similar issues and problems that I do. And I just love how much that just clicks with me. And today I'll be talking about, I feel like, one of the most interesting street level heroes, which is Moonknight. Obviously, you read the title, you get the idea. And how the show really wasted his potential for being a loved character by a lot of people. Also, before we get super far into the video, I will be comparing issues I have, mental issues that I have with Moonknight's mental issues, and I just wanted to address the fact that Moonknight has actual disorder. He has dissociation identity disorder, which is a very real and serious mental disorder. I'm not trying to downplay it at all in this video. I'm just using it as a comparison to my own struggles, and I am taking it seriously. And if you do have similar issues, please seek medical attention. Now that that's out of the way, I also just wanted to say one more thing. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. You guys seriously mean a lot. I say it in every video. The comments, the likes, it all really means a whole bunch to me. So if you guys could keep liking, keep commenting, and keep subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, now that everything's out of the way, let's get right into the video. The thing that makes Moonknight interesting is because of who he is and his struggles of fitting in and doing his best. Moonknight, most stories, has 3 people as his alter egos or his different personalities: Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and Jake Lockley. Each of these characters and people have their own unique roles and purposes in the life of Moonknight. The original person is Mark Spector, and when he was young he developed DID and gained Stephen Grant, who was a kid who came from a rich family, but the family didn't really care about him that much, and he had a really big interest in making and filming movies. Then later on, when Mark was an adult, came Jake Lockley, who was a grimy cab driver who wasn't afraid of getting his hands dirty and doing the dirty work in the name of justice. Stephen is the personality that was made to be the people person, and Jake was made to allow Mark to do some things and not feel bad about them, if you pick what I'm putting down. Each of these personalities were formed to help Mark with his struggles and issues that he couldn't handle by himself. These personalities are the driving points of the character of Moonknight. Mark's DID is always the biggest part of all of his stories and is the driving point for his character. Due to his DID, he feels so different from everybody else, and everyone else thinks that he's crazy and insane, and this makes Moonknight an isolated character. Not only does his DID make him feel so different from everybody else, but it also is his biggest struggle. The comic that I feel like truly explores this in an amazing way is the Lemire and Smallwood run, and I probably butchered, it's not Lemire. I'm sorry if I definitely mispronounced that name. In this run of Moonknight, it explores Mark's mental health. It starts with him in an insane asylum and pretty much makes you think that Mark has been just a crazy man, and all his adventures as Moonknight have been in his imagination and delusions. So he's trying to figure out if all he ever did really happened or if this is some weird illusion that a villain's putting on him. And it flips between Stephen Grant, who's directing a movie about Moonknight, and he thinks maybe the Moonknight persona was just a movie character that he was filming for. And it switches to Jake Lockley driving a cab and going around the streets as Moonknight. The whole part and feel of this is like whiplash. I mean, this whole comic is just crazy and insane, and it makes you question everything about Moonknight. But the whole issue is exploring Mark's mental health and trying to address how difficult it is for Mark to function and what he sees on a daily basis. With this character and his issues, I'm oftentimes left feeling very sorry for him due to how much he tries in all of his issues to be close to people and be accepted by the world, and yet his mental issues are unable to make him feel truly welcome and accepted by the world. He became Moonknight due to him almost dying in a desert and making a deal with the Egyptian god Khonshu. Khonshu? I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. The deal was that he would become the Fist of Khonshu in exchange for not dying, and he agreed to it. Now, it is Moonknight's mission to protect the travelers of the night as Moonknight. It is his mission to protect those who need to be shielded in the moonlight. Though the mission is truly honestly just a curse to Mark, Khonshu is a demanding god who really doesn't care at all about Mark or any of his other personalities or his personal life, and he chose Mark due to the fact that his mind was weak, so that way he could easily control Mark and use him however he sees, which is also adds to Moonknight's crazy factor. The fact that he is constantly talking to this imaginary god that nobody else can see and only him only adds to his confusion and craziness, and also it makes him abused by Khonshu all the time because, like I said, Khonshu does not give a crap about Moonknight. The character of Moonknight is covered in very weird and very sad circumstances. So why do people like Moonknight? Does everybody just feel bad and sorry for him? Do people just love watching him struggle? And here's the reason I love the character of Moonknight. And that's because of his heart and the exploration of how he feels and how he gets over his mental struggles. And also, he looks really cool. Like, have you seen Moonknight's design? Okay, side tangent, this isn't in the script at all, but I have to talk about his design because I think Moonknight has some of the coolest looks ever. I mean, first of all, you got the classic white cape and the cool moon cape, like it comes out like a moon when he glides. It's super cool, and I love that design. I like the MCU design. I think it's a little over designed, making it look more mummy, but I kind of also like it at the same time. I don't know, I flip-flop so often, but it's a good design. I love the white eyes. That's always just one of my favorite things about Moonknight. And my personal favorite is the Mr. Knight skin. Mr. Knight skin, like it's Fortnite. I'm talking about it like it's Fortnite. No, the Mr. Knight's outfit is one of my favorites. I just love how clean it looks, how like slick he looks, and it just gives him such a cool factor. I mean, if you guys have time, I don't know if you guys care about character design, but I love character design so much, and I think that honestly adds to Moonknight's like cool factor is his skin, and his skin, like, why do I keep saying like it's Fortnite? I think what adds on to Moonknight's like appeal to people is how cool he looks and how he's like, he got the moon like throwing knives. Those are so sick. The moon throwing knives are awesome, and I think his design is really well done, and I think that also adds to why people really like him. But back to what I was talking about before this design tangent. In the newest Moonknight run, it explores this more, the mission of Moonknight, and explores his need to help people who feel helpless. In it, he helps these people who were forcefully turned into vampires and helps them even though Khonshu tells him to kill the vampires. But he understands how it feels to be seen as a freak. He helps these people in New York who feel abandoned because he's felt abandoned and felt these same pains and feelings. The character's biggest problems come from his mental issues, and this feels relatable. Sure, I don't have DID, but the struggles he has are still relatable. Just because Moonknight has DID doesn't mean he doesn't have similar issues to everyone else. The reason that he formed DID was because of his lack of ability to deal with his issues and different aspects of his mental health. In that Lemire and Smallwood run, it explores how Mark works through his other personalities and how he tries to understand why he has them and how to move past them. The whole story is about confronting these issues that he has in his brain and how important it is to address these struggles and feelings that we have. The character of Moonknight is about how we address mental health and how he is always tied down to his thoughts and his struggles and how we can isolate ourselves because of them. His issues and his struggles aren't these carnival attractions. They are real issues that show us that if we have similar things, they need to be addressed. And once we're able to address them, we can work through them. And when we do that, we can truly grow as a person. The character of Moonknight is an exploration of how complex the mind is and how our own thoughts are our biggest obstacle, and our own mental health is one of our biggest struggles if we don't address it. Moonknight is a man who's trying to do his best, to do the right thing and to help others, while also overcoming his own mental problems and issues. And it makes you end up rooting for the character immensely. And that's honestly, I feel like, the reason why I enjoy Moon Knight is for the fact that every time I read an issue of Moon Knight, you have to see his mental issues and his mental struggles, but also you see him try and overcome these things. And they're not always obstacles. They're just something that he has to address and deal with. But it is really sad how isolating Moon Knight always feels. But I feel like the character himself, when you read Moon Knight, it might be confusing, but once you get to understand the character, you truly feel like you're rooting for this amazing person who's really just trying to do their best and has been put in the worst situation time and time again. But what makes me always come back to Moon Knight is his ability to triumph and his ability to get through these struggles even though it's super difficult and super hard. And that's really why I love Moon Knight. The reason I always come back to Moon Knight is because time and time again, when he struggles, he's always able to overcome it. And while he's struggling, he's able to help people out and help the people of New York. And he truly does care about people in New York. He cares about the people of the night. And so he's just a really fascinating character that I feel like every time I read, I find new reasons to be interested in the character. And I think that's a really unique thing. And his situation's super unique in Marvel. Like I said before, he's probably the most unique street level character ever. And I feel like the only way you can truly understand Moon Knight is if you read the comics. So I'm going to recommend a couple comics here. I've been trying to do this a lot more. So here's some comics you should read. Like I said earlier before, I keep butchering the name and I am so sorry. But Lamar and Smallwood, that run is really good. The first issue should be like Moon Knight in a straitjacket with like, stuff covering his face. Read that whole run. It's really good. I highly recommend it. Another one is, like I said, the newest run. It's been going on from like 2022 to present day. That run's really good. It's a good run of Moon Knight. And there's a whole bunch of other Moon Knight stuff you can read. The classic stuff's kind of cool. But I highly recommend Moon Knight because I feel like at first it may be confusing. It may be weird. But I feel like once you understand who the character is, you can truly like invest yourself in the character. And you really do root for Moon Knight because you can understand that we all have mental issues and we all have mental struggles. So it's really easy to connect with the character. So now, after all that said, let me tell you how the MCU, I feel like, wasted Moon Knight. The reason I feel like they wasted Moon Knight is because Moon Knight is a character which heavily explores the mental aspect and addresses how it affects the character. Moon Knight's show didn't really show that, and it explored it a little bit, but not as much as it should. The whole show felt like it was saving all of its best cards the whole time. It was saving the important aspects of the character for the better reveal or the better cliffhanger at the end of every episode. And by the time the show reached the end, it felt like we were really just starting to understand Mark Spector and Stephen Grant. And they left Jake Lockley for hype for like the next season. And it just all felt really rushed, and it didn't really explore the character as much as I think it should have. I liked how it started off with Steven instead of Mark, and I like how they really tried to show how much of a jerk Khonshu is, because if you read the comics, he really is a piece of crap. Like with all heroes, when they struggle and make it through, it makes you feel as though you can do the same, and I feel that way every time I read Moon Knight. I feel like the show wasted its potential on making a villain who wasn't really developed at all and mystery to carry the show instead of completely focusing on the character of Moon Knight. I feel like Marvel wasn't really confident in the character, so that's why they had to add all this extra mystery and action and a villain, because I feel like if the show was just solely about Moon Knight's character, I feel like a lot of people would have been turned off by it, at least the general audience, but I think the hardcore fans would have really appreciated the exploration of the character, because like I said, the most compelling part about Moon Knight is himself, the character, his different personalities, Mark, Steven, Jake. Like, that's really what drives Moon Knight as a character. And the villain, like, what was even the point of having the villain? We really didn't know anything about the guy. He was just kind of there to be bad and be like, Khonshu's bad, don't you understand? It really didn't help the whole show out that much. And I feel like, honestly, the whole show felt rushed. And like I said, it just didn't feel like they explored Mark as much as they should. There was definitely moments, in those moments where they explored the character of Mark, Steven, and, well, no, Jake, but when they explored that, that's when I feel like I enjoyed the show the most, is the exploration of Moonknight. And I feel like he could have carried the whole show by himself. But I feel like the Moonknight show really did miss the point of Moonknight. His struggles with his mental issues, and his struggles with how he's able to overcome these mental issues and help people out, and how he's able to work through them. I feel like Moonknight's always been this character that's been able to show you that it's okay to have these mental issues. It's just, we have to work through them. And I feel like that's like his biggest thing, is everything he does is always trying to do what's right while also overcoming what's inside, if that makes any sense at all. I feel like this is really interesting because with the character of Moonknight, I feel like the reason I like him isn't the reason I like a lot of other characters. I mean, yeah, it is because he's relatable, but what I find most interesting about Moonknight is, like I said, his mental issues and how he's able to overcome them. With a lot of other characters, I feel like they have really interesting villains and they have these really interesting storylines, but all of Mark's interesting stuff comes with inside of him and how he's able to overcome it. So if you are really interested in that aspect of not really always having to fight a villain, which he does have villains, and there are some really interesting villains that he has, but I feel like that's the biggest draw of Moonknight, is his mental prowess. I'm probably saying that wrong, but yeah, so this is the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy this one. I know I really mostly talked about Mark's mental health and his other personalities, and I didn't really touch on much of the stories, but I really do feel like that's the biggest draw and the real reason why a lot of people enjoy Moonknight, is for that aspect of him. And he's a really good character to explore, and I highly recommend you read some comics. And I hope you guys did enjoy the video today. If you guys want to see any other superheroes, let me know. I saw some Hellboy. I didn't forget Hawkeye. I'm working on videos. Trust me, guys. Trust me. And also, just to let you guys know, I do have social medias. I don't know if anybody here uses social media. I have Canned Ideas on Instagram and Canned Ideas on TikTok. So if you guys want to go follow those, it'd be much appreciated. But hey, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your week. I hope I was able to bring some justice to Moonknight and explain the reasons why I really like Moonknight. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Go get yourself like a bag of popcorn. Get that, like, I like the cheddar seasoning. You know the cheddar seasoning, like you put on it. Oh, it's a movie theater popcorn. Sounds so good. I'm hungry, guys. I'm sorry. I gotta go. I'm hungry. Yeah, I'll talk to all y'all later. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys stick around. All right, bye.